we planned a joke for the mom. I made like some mustache.
Like
and
a prank.
Yeah. I had like this really macho looking haircut and like some kind of vulgar clothes, like because then she never met me, and I was like pretending that I was like this macho Italian coming to her place, and like and then she arrived, and then I just hello, come here, mama, bella signora, and she was like, oh, and then we went to the living room, and then like we had, okay, let's drink something, and we drank like 3 bottles of wine in like 1 hour because everybody wanted to just like
this was part of the prank.
No, that was that was like the reaction to the prank, because then we didn't tell her like and then like after that, okay, but like this was all organized.
My name is Parth and this is Dhvani. Hello, welcome back to Dhvani podcast. If you are new, then thank you for choosing to listen to this 10th episode of this effort that I've been putting in for the past 3 months now. So apparently today is the International Podcast Day, because there's a day for everything nowadays, so why not for podcasts, right? Anyway, it's a very good thing that on World Podcasting Day I am putting out my 10th episode, and it has been a really, really profound experience, not only because it took a lot of effort, but also at the same time, the conversations that I've been having with people, the conversations that I had with myself, they have given me a lot of perspective about a lot of different things. And that was my intention for anybody who listens to this, because I really believe that we all have these amazing stories with us. We just don't talk about them. And this discussion today that I had almost 1.5 months back with a friend of mine in Maastricht, when I was back in Maastricht, is a friend whom I met on this platform that I promoted in my last episode, which is couchsurfing. So this boy requested to stay at my place for 2 nights because he wanted to look for housing for himself since he had to study. And this was last year in 2019, when the pandemic was not ruining our lives. Till that point, I hosted a lot of people, so I had some experience of couchsurfing. So this was yet another experience. But this guy is such an amazing person that I had to interview him for this podcast, because I learned a lot during the time he was there. I had a lot of fun. We had so many interesting discussions about our culture, about our countries, about food and music and everything that you can think of possibly. And we became very, very good friends after that. And from that point on, I've been thinking about this feeling of home and how home means a lot of things to a lot. Home can mean family to somebody. Home can also mean friends to someone. It can be a dog or cat or anyone. Home can be anything, right? Home is a huge concept to think about. So that's where we decided to talk about home. So what is home for me? What is home for him? He's from Italy. So Italy was one of the countries that was very, very severely hurt at one point in time. So how did that affect him? It is happening right now to a lot of other people. So I think his perspective, our discussions might give you some takeaways, something interesting, something joyful, and of course something relatable that maybe you can think about in your life as well, because it's all about counting your blessings in the end. Any day can be bad, but think about the things that have happened good to you, right? That's what we should care about, I think. Anyway, I can philosophize this for a long time, but the interesting part is that we are gonna hear about Michele's story again in 2 parts, because the conversations have gone a little bit longer. They have gone a little bit deeper. So I think it's better to break it in 2 parts so you don't get bored, and you can also have something to look up to next week. We talk about home, we talk about couchsurfing, he talks about Italy, I talk about India, we talk about love, perception of things, and everything in between. So it's going to be very interesting, trust me. I really hope you enjoy this discussion, and if you have something similar, if you have a story to share, this is the platform. Think about talking to me, writing to me. It would be very nice if the world can know your story. So let's start with the first part of this discussion. Here we go.
My name is Michele, and I'm 23. I'm Italian. I grew up and I was born in Italy, in a nice place on the sea near France, Liguria, in a rather small town, 60,000 people. I'm here in Maastricht because basically I started studying or like enrolled myself into a mechanical engineering program in a university in Italy. And I studied it for like 1.5 years and I really didn't like it. But it was also like quite tough for me to quit because I felt there was a lot of expectations or like, like everything was kind of like at some point because after 1 year already.
Yeah, you invest a lot of time,
money, everything is set up and then it's just hard to leave.
Right.
But then like for a series of things that maybe we talk later, I managed to like give up this thing that I didn't want actually. Then I moved to Berlin. Actually was also like a little bit of like a love escape or something like that.
Okay.
Because I moved there with a girl from Berlin that I met in Italy. So I met her in Italy.
Okay.
And then we've been there for like some months. Also like the relationship was kind of strange because she went to a cabin and was really, really messy, but we really felt into each other. And then like I moved together with her and actually for a long period I also lived there with their parents and also that was like a really interesting experience but for me was really really important and then there like I wanted to try to work in a kitchen because this is one of my great passion actually cooking and like I don't know like wine drinks this world in like the gastronomy in general is something that I really really enjoy and I'm really interested into. For me Berlin was just like amazing on a lot of different level and perspective, but also like this food because like coming from like not so big town in Italy where like the people really are like we eat Italian stuff,
right.
And then maybe we tried something else, but it's you're not really exposed.
Of course, like when you are from a small town, then people are not so receptive towards other kind of food and cultures that way.
Yeah, exactly. But even like I didn't even have like the chances or I don't know because like for my parents it was like kind of like this weird thing that they never tried when they were young, so it was like a little bit suspicious, and then it's also harder for you to get in contact to do this thing, and then like I got immersed into this like super multi-ethnic, multicultural, multinational thing, and that was super interesting. I tried to work in the kitchen and actually I find myself good, but then the rhythm of the works and everything and talking with my colleagues and stuff made me realize that as much as I like cooking, I also really like to like learn things and like work with my mind, let's say, or like just some actual learning. And then I thought it would have been actually like better to try to get a degree first because I'm actually interested into it, you know, and just something that goes like hand in hand. But then to bet on the kitchen, into the cooking before to the university felt a little bit, I don't know, like strange because this can always work as a plan B, you know, just
you can go back again whenever
take
you want.
away, travel the world and work in 1 month there, 1 month there. While the degree still like was still like the time to do it, you know. I'm young and you really want to experience like this because I also like
till the time you have the energy and the
exactly, and then like also be immersed in this university atmosphere, like environment. It's interesting. Idea stimulation and that you don't get usually.
So from how much I know you and what I've heard right now, so I can say that you left home at some point, right? And that is one of the things that we decided we'll talk about. Because it's the same for me that I left home, I think now it has been almost exactly 10 years. I left my home in 2010 and it is 2020 now. And there have been so many changes, I've been going from one city to another city, from one country to another country, that way. So this is something that is very intriguing, very interesting in many ways. Also, I don't always have an answer to this. That home, like, do I want to go back? I surely want to go back at some point. But do I want to live there for long, or do I just want to go back as a holiday? So this is something that I wanted to understand, that what is your feeling for home? Because one of my intentions is also to connect maybe what generally Indians have, the feeling for the home, what maybe Italians have a feeling for the home, because what I've heard is that there are a lot of commonalities between how we think. So I mean, whatever you can comment on that.
So I mean, I'm not super experienced into the Indian, but I think like at least like in Italy we have like this really what I found like compared to for example Germany or the Netherlands, we have like a much stronger family bonds and like the family tend to like stay closer together, like so like for example my parents live in the same place where where their parents lived, and about what they consider home, like that's an interesting
that's a
thing,
very profound question.
But
for this point, maybe let's make it simpler. So let's say that when you decided to leave home, how difficult it was, what was your family's opinion about it and all these things?
For me, the decision to leaving home
Yeah.
was hard because of like, as we already said, like how much like that was already kind of built up. I need to like throw away, like to leave behind, you know. And then it's always hard when like you have something that like you build, or like not only you but and then expectation and everything. Then it's always hard to say, no, mom, I don't want to study this anymore. I don't want to live here anymore. That was hard. The decision, in fact, to leave home was not that hard for me because I didn't feel that good at the moment. So like I was not really satisfied with my life, with what I had around. I don't know, like it was in a general not so good mood. So that part of the decision was easy. Was really hard to do like the more material, you know, like when you're gonna do, what you're gonna. That is also like these kind of things for your parents raise a hell of a lot of question marks. You know, like a big. Okay,
what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
What
now,
are your plans?
Exactly. Now, before you had a plan, and now what is your plan? What? Yeah, mom, I don't know. I need time to figure it out. Like now, I'm just
figure it out.
And but then I just decided to go. Like for me was I also have to recognize that like I also had like this crazy chance because of the girl that I met. Because without her, without the inspiration, just she telling me like come to me, you know, like we had like this connection, and like she was coming from Berlin and everything, and like I was really interested into her, like her point of view, because I realized that she was different from me, like it was different when she grew up. But still I cannot say 100% that they would have taken the same decision without
that's true.
meeting her.
And that's what I wanted to actually figure out here, that maybe the meaning of home changes from context to context. So like for me, when I was leaving home, one of the things that I didn't realize at that point, but I was interested into being independent, because everything till that point when I was at home, everything had to be, you know, taken permission from your parents, and I have to ask this, I have to, and whatever they think, I think in the same way. But slowly in the school only, things were changing. Like mind changes, thought process changes. So I was very desperate, and all of the kids of my age at that point in that surrounding were desperate to step out of the city somehow so they can, you know, think from themselves. This was a thing. And when I did that, it's always challenging when you know, you have to wash your clothes for the first time by yourself, you have to cook for yourself for the first time. So many responsibilities come all of a sudden, but you don't mind that because you get so many new things. Like you get friends, you get many things, you get love, and these actually become your new home after a point that you look up to. So yes, you would want to go back to your parents, to your childhood friends in these places, but these are also home for you.
For sure. Actually, like I think to define home is like the place where you come from is wrong.
That's true.
For me, it should be more much defined like the place where you feel you belong.
Yes. The sense of belonging. That's very important actually.
And like that, it's not like it's not fixed, or like the things that like the place where you come from is the place that you feel that you belong to. Because for example, for me, when I come back home, like but coming back, I don't know, it's always strange.
It's one part of
you know, like you call home because like it's the home where you grew up.
Exactly.
Like you call it home, but like not the home, not the place where I want to live, not the place where I feel at home.
Right. That's a bigger question maybe.
Exactly.
That you seek.
And so for me, like was a lot home is like where I feel good, where I feel that I'm free to express myself. I don't know, like I felt that like before, like I couldn't really come out with my real me. I was like so bound because they were like with home, with like all these like things coming from the past, and everything comes a lot of like constriction in a way, or like
responsibility,
directions, whatever. And like I really enjoy like my freedom, as you said before. Obviously. Like a lot is coming with freedom, you know, like just being out and like now I want to go for a walk, I go for a walk. It's 2 a.m, it doesn't matter. And that is, and then like of course the person that you surround you with make you feel
the most important,
at home. Because as you said, the love and
like I think that apart from the physicality of the things, the city that you live in, the kind of weather maybe the city has, these things, like if you leave them apart, I think the most important part are the people.
Definitely.
So do you have something interesting to share, like in terms of people that you have met? Like for example, this would be interesting for the listeners. How did we meet? So we met through this thing called couchsurfing.
Exactly.
And I think couchsurfing has been, in the last 1 year since I started doing couchsurfing, it has been such a surreal experience for me, because this is the first time I opened myself to so many discomforts, I would say. And I'll tell you how you were not one of them. Because I have been an only child. at my home. So I was never prepared to share anything with anybody,
Okay.
like
yeah.
even with my mom, if sometimes she just puts food on one plate and she wants to share, I cannot do that. I'm like, give my plate to me. I want my separate
I'm also
thing,
like,
because separate room, everything separate. So that's the kind of feeling that I was brought up with. I was given, things were only for me. So when I stepped out, this was the first challenge that I faced, that I have to share a room with a person, or I have to share a flat with a person. So these things were very challenging for me, and I did that. I learned it and I was okay. But then that feeling is still there. I still need my room. I still need my space. It could be a girl, it could be a friend, anybody. But I need my space. And everybody does. Everybody needs their space. But I think maybe for me it is a little bit extra.
Okay.
So I took upon couchsurfing as a challenge on me that let me open myself to the world, and let's see what kind of people I'll meet. And I've met very different people that have made me, very uncomfortable. And you were not one of them. You are a person where even if you live with me for 1 month or 1 year, in one room, I don't know about you, but I'm telling you my perspective, that I won't feel your presence as a problem. Because you compliment, because there's mutual respect. You respect my space, I respect yours. So that kind of thing doesn't clicks with everybody.
No, not at all.
That's the thing.
Definitely.
That's what I want. Like, this is a very peculiar experience for me. I would want to talk about this more in the future. It's very specific cases that what person did what that made me mad at some point. But I wanted to know that if you have some, funny things or sad things or whatever, like whatever can come to your mind where you have stories with people, maybe at your job or in your study or in your love life, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
And like that I was like sharing this kind of like intimate space,
or
where
somebody has done something that has changed your perspective or made you a better person or a worse person.
The person that I want to talk about is actually the mom of the girl that they moved to in Berlin. Her name is Dhvani. She's a really, really lovely and cool cool lady. Yeah. But like, for example, this is really interesting because like before having this experience, if someone would have told me that like you're gonna live with like your girlfriend and like their parents for some time, I would just say like,
what?
There's a no brainer, so right?
Like
not no brainer, like that's a no go.
That's a big no.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know. Like,
why would you do that?
It sounds so weird, right? I'm moving out, and then I'm moving in with like the parents, but of someone else.
Yeah, that's it.
It's really strange. Yeah. But actually, for me, so first of all, like being together went like super nice. Like it was just really funny. That like the first day that I arrived there, actually, we planned a joke for like for the mom, and then like I made like some mustache,
like
and
a prank.
Yeah. And like I had like this really how to say macho looking haircut and like some I don't know, like kind of vulgar. Clothes, like because then she never met me. She just saw some picture, and it was like pretending that I was like this macho Italian coming to her place, and like and then she arrived, and then I just hello, come here, mama, bella signora. And she was like, oh, and then we went to the living room, and then like we had let's drink something, and we drank like 3 bottles of wine in like 1 hour because everybody wanted to just
and
like.
This was part of the prank.
No, that was that was like the reaction to the prank, because then we didn't tell her like and then like after that, but like this was all organized. Like I was a little bit stressed at the moment that I saw you, and that was really really funny. But then like the living together went like so nicely, and not only that, but I realized that like especially now when I look back, and it's completely unexpectedly, because as I told you before, like the idea of like moving with the parents, this has been really something so inspiring for me, because being able to like, I don't know, like she was not like a mom for me, of course, but she represented like an older person with like such a different point of view from my parents, experiences and everything that they could that they could get from her, because I was living with her. So like it was like just we talk a lot of the time just after dinner at the table, and we were sharing like experiencing from like where my past and their past. Like for me it was again like so much opening my eyes to the world, like to how different people can live.
That's so nice, actually. Because this is what I wanted to, like, I can tell you, this is so different in terms of how it would happen in India. This can happen in India as well. That's the thing, but maybe not at such an age where you did that. Let's say.
Yeah, I was 20. I was 20.
So that's something interesting, because point number one is that India is not so international. Like, I don't know how to put this in the best way, but inside the country there are so many different cultures that it can, go for international in a way. But this is what I wanted to like also find out from you, that culturally, was it a shock for you moving from Italy to Berlin, maybe? Was there any cultural shock, or was it okay moving within Europe?
So I would say that like mostly was okay. Like I never been to Germany other than like 1 week before in a really different place.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's also the fact that like when you move to such a big city, it's so international. Like you can kind of find like everybody can kind of. I mean, I guess like it can be either hard or easy to find like your own space, depending if you fit into this like more diverse thing.
Right.
But like as shocked, it was already like the fact the same thing that I did, and like the parents could not at all have happened like the other way around. So like someone coming to live with me and my parents, that would be like.
But you don't know that.
No, like something that I found like shocking regarding, for example, the difference between these people and like my parents is that, for example, once they had like a small countryside house and they decided to go there for like a weekend. And during the weekend, like 2 of my friends from Italy, they would have come to visit me. And then they said, yeah, no problem. Like take the house, like have fun. And like my dad, like no. Or even like for couch surfing, we, for example, like me and my girlfriend, we hosted some people when the parents were not at home. And then they were like completely fine, and again like okay, like have fun, you can make them like sleep on the couch, don't worry. Like my dad would never want like some stranger in his house looking at his things, touching his
right.
So that was really interesting how they were like opening towards, for example, sharing like a private space, like the house. Well, for my family or like for my dad and stuff, this is something so private, so intimate,
that
like,
you don't want to open
not at all
for other people. That would be the same, I guess, for my parents and most of the people in India. So that's why couchsurfing is very, very different case in India, and doesn't happen that much in India right now, because people are most of the time scared to do that kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Definitely.
So this is the thing that I'm always after, that I'm curious about things. That's what it has got me. Like today, where I am, what I'm doing right now, it's just because of this passion for curiosity, nothing else. Because in my case, my parents wouldn't have let me ever leave my house. The kind of obsession would be a bad term, I guess.
Like
possessive.
Exactly.
Possessive feeling that they have. They wanted me to just live there, study there, grow up there only in front of their eyes. But they let me go also. And I think that more than my passion, it was their permission or their openness that let me come here. So that's also a thing that I think about a lot.
But I mean, it's still like a big part on you,
Obviously,
because,
it is.
The framework that they built is just like, okay, you stay at home. Then it's really good of your parents. Then they actually like realize that it was something that you actually wanted, and then they let you go, even though like that's not the first thing that they wanted.
Right. Like what I'm trying to tell you is that at every point in life where I have to make a decision, like when I have to decide that what I'll do next, I'm never sure. So I look up to my parents that you tell me now, should I do it or I shouldn't do it? They are the ones who always tell me that do it. Like let's say if for 1 month I'm very, passionate about this thing, or I'm thinking about this thing, they might be telling me that don't do it. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Be stable, this and that. But the last day, when I have to make that decision, and I get very, that I don't know now, then they flip their approach. Then they're like, do it. Don't care about anything. We are there to support you. Just do it. That's a big thing for me.
That's really
very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
But I think a lot about values. Like what kind of values do you possess? What do you take from one point to another? That's how you make friends. I think that's how you love. That's how you do everything in your life. It all boils down to values, and it's very profound. It has taken a lot of time for me to figure out what my values are. What you see in the back actually are those. So these are all the exercises that I've been doing to figure out what are my values. Whatever I did in my life, at work, all the fights that I had with my managers at any given point of time, the breakups that I went through, they all are here somehow. So I don't know if you have thought about that. Like for example, to make it easier for you, I think respect is one of the values that I really, really stand by. And no matter what kind of relationship it matters. Family or friendship or love or a stranger on the street. Respect is something that always plays a role.
No, I totally agree. And then can have so many forms. Like, for example, if you come late, just tell me that you're late. Or like, if you cannot come, just tell me like I cannot come. Just not vanish and then stop answering.
Exactly.
That is something that really.
And a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I know.
So that means they don't care about respect that much. They care about some other value maybe. Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah, no.
So that's what.
For sure. That is a thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like, I feel that like I have much weaker or not as a strong feeling of family as my parents had. So like I'm not feeling like, for me I really feel that like what is gonna be my family or whatever like is gonna be like me and whatever lives with me at the center.
Right.
And my parents or like the rest of like much farther away. So like I don't have this like a really strong feeling of family.
So, like, nothing holds you that much.
I mean, in that sense, no. The family, no. What I discovered to, like, love is the freedom and independence that really make me feel good. And, like, also now, for example, that they're paying for basically everything. And my parents are paying the rent and they're paying for everything else.
Yeah.
Then it's also make me feel really good because I feel that like whatever I decided to do or whatever, it's my choice and like I earn the money for it. It's not just like a borrow, like a wait for someone else. It's just like I work for it and then I can decide freely.
Right. Like 1 year back, I was not thinking about these things, but somehow things happened in a way where I started thinking about these things and I got interested into this. That what are my values? Because somebody asked me once that what are your values? I was like dumbstruck. I was like I don't know. That's when it triggered like I should know maybe. It is a good thing because I also at the same time I'm a person that doesn't want to box things, I don't like boxing things for everybody.
Definitely.
But this is something that I liked to box for the first time. That's the thing. So tell me about Berlin because I'm very curious about the cultural landscape of Berlin because I heard that a lot of artists come to Berlin from the world. It's the art capital of the world and it's very open towards everything. So did that do something to you? Like did you learn something out of it? How was your experience in Berlin?
So, as I told you, like for me it was like really important. Like I loved it, and for sure like this artistic, like for example another thing like I found really surprising there is how many events that can go like from like an art exhibition to a photo exhibition to like available in such a large availability and also like so cheap. Like a lot of the time are like really cheap or either free.
Okay.
So like and like I was surprised that other than the housing, which is getting more and more expensive, the city still like is rather cheap compared to like most of other. And like this is not only like I found like really interesting and nice the large availability that you have for like cultural events of like whatever kind, like from
whatever you're interested
dancing,
in,
music, art exhibition, photo exhibition, and there are a lot of them. Since a lot of people moved there, and like a lot of people moved there not because they're like super famous, but because they are attracted to like this environment. You can also see like a lot of like strange things. So like I don't know, for example, there was like this cinema that I went a couple of times, and like every Wednesday there was like the night when like random people can present their corto, like these 5 minutes, and like some of them are like nice, some of them are like just like
so abstract that you won't understand.
But even like just weird. Like there was one with like some paper cucumber talking and doing.
And that was it for the first part. I really hope that you found it interesting enough to listen to the second part as well, because it's going to be more interesting like always. And as I said, I really believe that we all have such amazing stories to tell. If you have a story with you, if you care about something, if you have observed something that might be interesting, or if you just want to complain about something, go ahead, write to me on info@dhvani.co.in. Log on to dhvani.co.in/podcast. Also send me voice notes on Facebook. If you don't still feel like talking, I can just take your voice notes and put it on the podcast for the world to listen, if that works for you. You can also DM me on Instagram, and all these details are there in the show description. This episode and show was hosted and produced by me. My name is Parth Chauhan. The theme music that you listen in the start and what you're listening to right now is produced by this guy called Cutie Honey Bunch, who's also from Italy. The branding was done by Soumya Garg. And thank you, my listener, for giving your support all this while. It's the 10th episode of the podcast and I'm very happy about it. Please keep on supporting me like this. I've not spoken about this thing because I still feel a little bit skeptical about it, but I have a support link in the description as well. well. Also, you can buy me a coffee to support this idea because I'm not earning anything right now from this, and I would like to earn something because I want to do this full time. So consider supporting me through the support link that is there, or you can buy me a coffee. There's a link for that as well. If you want to support me in other ways, then you can talk to me, you can write to me, we can figure something out. And if you want to work with me, that would be amazing. If you want to join hands in doing something interesting like this, you must join the Discord server that I've created for Dhvani. That can be very helpful. Dhvani podcast is available on all major platforms like Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, JioSaavn, and all the places that you can think of. It's also on Amazon Music now, so you can try out that as well. And that is it from me and Michele this time. See you in the next one. Till then, goodbye, take care, all the best.